The Isley Brothers stand out as one of the most successful musical groups of all time. How many of you remember It's Your Thing, Summer Breeze, For the Love of You, and Harvest for the World? And that's just a few of their many hits. Their talent, unique sound, and prolific songwriting has led to a career spanning 6 decades. The Isleys started out as a gospel group in the 1950s in Cincinnati, Ohio. They were a vocal trio then, consisting of Ronald Isley and his 2 brothers, O'Kelly and Rudolph. After a few modest chart successes, they finally hit with a song they wrote called Shout. Younger brother, Ernie Isley, who started playing drums at the age of 12, performed his first live gig with the group in 1966 and helped usher in a new sound for the band when he played bass on the Isley smash, It's Your Thing. Ernie would go on to pen hits like Fight the Power, Voyage to Atlantis, Footsteps in the Dark, That Lady, and many, many others. Last year, the Isley Brothers were inducted into the St. Louis Walk of Fame, having made this city their home. And we are privileged to have Mr. Ernie Isley in the studio with us today to talk about the Isleys' incredible legacy and upcoming concerts. You're looking pretty good for 55.
Amen.
You lived in Cincinnati.
Yes, that's where all the brothers.
Then went to Jersey.
Yes.
And somehow you've lived in St. Louis for more than 2 decades.
Yeah.
Tell me that story.
Oh, well, you know, you got, you had the Rams here. They won the Super Bowl when we first got here.
1999 or 2000?
Yeah, and of course, you know, the Cardinals always represent well. And
So you moved because you liked our sports teams?
The food, you know, the ribs, Annie Guns.
What was it like being in a band with your older brothers and growing up with such talent in the house?
That was normal, actually, because it was family first and foremost. And the most surprising thing about it, most exciting thing, was to go somewhere to a theater and the lights go down and it's a bunch of strangers and my 3 brothers come out and, you know, take the roof off the room. That was an amazing thing to see. And then right after that show, to be backstage and they say, "Hi, Ernie." I'd be like, wow. So that, you know, that was always exciting.
Who said that?
All of them. All Kelly, Rudolph, and Ronald, all of them said that.
I thought it was the ladies that said, "Hey, Ernie."
Oh, no, because I would have been 8, 9 years old when it started.
Well, you were 14 when you first played your live gig with the Isley Brothers.
Yeah.
And somehow you ended up playing with Martha and the Vandellas that night, too. How did that come about?
It turns out that they didn't have a drummer. And, you know, we had just, Isaac had performed before them. And so that was a real thrill, but it was a challenge to play the drums and not get up and start dancing when they're singing Dancing in the Streets, because, you know, they had the place rocking. Philadelphia, PA, Baltimore, and DC now. Wow.
And you playing drums on that?
Yeah, for them, yeah.
I hear you call your guitar, which you have here. If you can talk to me about that. A Zeal?
Zeal Stratocaster. I have 3 of them. This is Zeal number 2. And Z-E-A-L. Mm-hmm. It has a hummingbird next to the Z. Mother of pearl, 2 white doves of peace at the 12th fret. Hand-carved roses, my initials E-I on this one. They're out of the Fender Custom Shop. Everybody that sees them, you know, marvels at them, and they are, frankly, the best-looking instruments that ever have come out of Fender. They're very proud of them.
Indeed, a great-looking instrument there.
Yeah.
What does zeal mean?
Oh, that's that thing that lives inside you. That's your life. That's your spirit. When there's something you want to do, like if you have a goal, such as if you're at a pool table and there's a shot you're trying to make, and you know something inside you tells you you're going to make it, and you take the shot and it goes in. That's zeal. You've seen it demonstrated really with athletes, with the likes of LeBron James, Serena Williams, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. You know, so you've seen that the idea of zeal demonstrated. It's something that's inside you. It's an inner light that everybody that's alive has.
Now, you're the youngest, right? Or
Marvin.
next to the youngest. Marvin is the youngest, and then you. You came along and you wrote a number of hits for the Isley Brothers, and a lot of people don't know that. Like some of the biggest hits that everyone out there knows. You've written those.
Yeah. I did a little something on that regard.
Now, my brother thinks you guys are the GOAT, and I do too. Just one of the greatest of all time groups. And I usually can identify, now that I've done my research, I can identify some of the music based on the first few chords. Can you play a few things and let me test this knowledge here? Is that's your thing? It's your thing? It's not?
Fight the Power.
Fight the Power. You got me, okay. All right.
Another one?
Yes. Ooh, I really can't.
Yeah.
I can't see.
Footsteps in the dark. Yeah, Footsteps in the dark. What, another one?
And where'd that come from? Where'd the inspiration
Footsteps
for that
in the Dark.
song? Yeah.
You know, we just
When you wrote that,
you know,
I should say.
when you write it, it's you find a piece of melody or a lyric or something like that, and you latch hold to it, and you sort of see it through. So the song itself, if it was that simple to just plug in and extract it, great. But you do have to give it some thought, give it some time, and it's always a pleasant experience when you capture it, and then play it for the brothers. They're like, yeah.
What else you got? You got something else?
Let's see.
When will there be?
Yes.
Harvest
for the World.
Harvest for the World,
You're
one
good.
of my favorites
You're
of
good.
all time. Let's go back in history a little bit. This here is in the old album of Nat King Cole's, released in 1963. And something stands out about this album. And a few years later, the Isley Brothers had an album.
Motown.
From Motown. And you want to explain what stands out about these two albums and what was going on in history in terms of the crossover?
Yeah.
The problem with trying to cross over as black artists back in the early 60s.
Like at that time, when you were trying to sell records, the companies were aware that if you tried to sell it in certain markets, particularly in southern United States, that there would be like a block because, Nat King Cole, skin tone, or the Isley Brothers,
he's
skin
black
tone.
and putting his face on the cover.
So what they would do is they would take a photograph like that and put that on the front and say Isley Brothers, and then on the back you might see a smaller version of the actual artist.
So your picture is on the back, but not on the front.
Right.
An Isley Brothers.
Right, and so
album.
people would know the music as they do, but they don't necessarily know the artist. So when you say, you make me wanna kick my heels up and it's like, Isley Brothers. But if you saw that they were black, it might be, So
maybe it won't go pop.
Yeah, maybe it
maybe
won't. But that didn't stop it from being a hit. That didn't stop Twist and Shout from being a hit. That didn't stop There's a Heart of Mine from being a hit. And of course, as you came forward in the history of the country, where some of that stuff sort of backed off a bit, then you could actually have a picture of the Isley Brothers, like on It's Your Thing cover or the 3+3 cover. So that was just a political thing that the companies, being aware of that, did.
And you guys did this in the short time, or before you actually became a full-fledged member of the group.
66.
But they were only at Motown for a short time, right?
Yes, yes.
And a lot of fans have wondered, and I saw social media, wonder why over the years the Isley Brothers had never appeared on any of the Motown specials.
Well, they did do This a Heart of Mine, and they, make a long story short.
Like Motown 25 or something like that.
Yeah, you know, at the time it was like, well, do you want to do that? And they were like, oh.
Because
get on there and come on there and do This a Heart of Mine? Well, no. You know, so, but see, the thing with that is that we still are represented well by that song. And of course, we're proud to be a part of the Motown
And you
legacy.
also represented well at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when you were inducted in 1992.
In 92, yeah.
By Little Richard.
Yeah, which is wonderful.
That
you know,
had to be fun.
They go
Good
back
golly,
a long,
Miss Molly.
They go back a long ways with him, and you know, they both in, you know, like a mutual admiration society, and it was really nice for him to do that, and that was a great night.
Yeah, and that was with Rudolph, O'Kelly, Marvin, and your cousin
That would have been
Chris Jasper, correct?
For all the Isley
Ronald.
Brothers, yeah, that would have been all the Isley Brothers. That would be Kelly, Rudolph, Ronald, Vernon, Ernie, Marvin, and Chris Jasper. When I say all of them.
I do have to ask you before we go a little bit about Jimi Hendrix, and I know you get that a lot, because of how famous Jimmy became after playing with the Isley Brothers. When you guys met Jimmy, he didn't have a guitar and didn't have a place to stay.
No.
So who was it that said, this guy needs to come with us?
Well, yeah, Kelly and Ronald, make a long story short, they found him in Greenwich Village in New York, and he had him play for them a bit. You know, in less than 3 minutes, it's like, we got to hire this guy. So he got hired, but he didn't have a place to stay. So just to being practical, it's like, all your worldly goods here, you come, we got a spare bedroom at my mother's house. So he came to Inglewood, New Jersey, and he was in a spare bedroom with a brand new Fender guitar that they got him. And he was, this is like March of 1963. He was a star of the band before the first rehearsal was over. The way he played, some of the arrangements of the songs were altered to have more guitar. And he was obviously, I was 11 years old at the time. He was obviously a tremendous
Incredible he was.
talent.
I love the story you tell about seeing the Beatles for the first time.
Yeah.
And a few days later, one of your brothers said, hey, they got 2 guitar players, but we got Jimmy.
But we got Jimmy. And when he said, and he did it just like that. But we got Jimmy. And when he said, but we got Jimmy, I looked over at Jimmy, and Jimmy was grinning ear to ear at that remark because it was true.
What do you think was going on in his head at this point?
I would think, you know, like the Isley Brothers had Shout and Twist and Shout. Those 2 songs the Beatles were performing before they came to the United States.
What do you think about their performance of?
Oh, that was great because the kids on the playground came to me and said, you know, the Beatles took your brother's song. I said, no, they didn't. They obviously listened, and I'm glad they did it. And ran into Paul McCartney a few years ago, and we embraced each other, and we're both yelling in each other's ear. And I said, you know, Paul, you, Ringo, George and John, you guys are wonderful. And he said, Ernie, if it were not for the Isley Brothers, the Beatles would still be in Liverpool. And then he went on stage and said that in a microphone. And I ran into Ringo at the Rock when we got the Lifetime Achievement Grammy Award. And Ringo said, Ernie, you guys, the Isley Brothers, help us hit our stride. So very gracious of both of them.
Before we go, we got to talk quickly about your concert at Lindenwood College this coming Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
What should fans expect from this?
Oh, they're going to hear everything. They're going to hear everything from Shout, Twist and Shout, This is a Heart of Mine, It's Your Thing, Fight the Power, That Lady, Summer Breeze, Voice to Atlantis,
So go out and
Between
get your
the
tickets.
Sheets, Choosy Lover, they're on and on, you know.
And then tell me about the UK tour.
Oh, that's going to be coming up this summer in June. Looking forward to that. We'll be there about 2 weeks. And I think on some of that tour, we'll run into Paul McCartney and we'll run into also Elton John. So we're looking forward to that.
Fantastic. Ernie Isley, when's the book coming out?
We're still working on it. We're still on a daily basis adding chapters and pages.
Ernie Isley, thank you so much. It's a privilege and an honor.
Thank you, man. Glad to be here.